Today we're at Cayo Levantado here in the Dominican Republic.
We spent 4 lovely nights on this incredible island, and we can't wait to tell you everything you need to know before you book. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Max.
I'm Marin.
We're Voyager Guru. We post weekly videos with travel tips, hotel reviews, and videos from some of our favorite destinations around the world. So if you don't already, consider subscribing. And of course, if you like this video and you find the content useful, be sure to give us a thumbs up. It really helps our videos get more exposure and produce more videos just like this. All right, so let's jump right into our review. Our first category is location.
Location, we rate 5 stars. The location of this resort is absolutely incredible. They are the only private island resort in the entire Dominican Republic, and it's located just off the coast of Samana.
It's a gorgeous island, and part of it is split up on a very famous beach that is actually a public beach. Tons of tour boats come and visit it, but the resort itself is on the other side of the island, completely separate, has its own separate private beach, but also allows guests to access that public beach if you want to do it during the day when it might be a little bit more crowded, but you also have the opportunity to go there after all the public has left around 5 or 6 p.m. for the sunset, or in the morning before 8 a.m. before all the tour groups do show up. It is a gorgeous white sand beach, and oftentimes the water here is extremely calm. It was a little bit wavier during our particular time period. There were some swells that were off the coast, but it is also an amazing location because if you don't know this already, Samana is known for whales. There are tons of humpback whales that come each year on a migration to this area, and they're usually here around the time that we're here right now in February. It's an incredible time to come visit this area.
Most people who come to the Dominican Republic just go to Punta Cana, and Punta Cana is a couple of hours away from where we are right now. This location is closer to the Santo Domingo airport, and it's about 2.5 hours from Santo Domingo. Canadians are super lucky because there are some flights that come into Samana airport that is located about an hour away.
Samana is one of the most beautiful parts of the Dominican Republic, and they are really lucky to be located on this incredible island. When you do arrive, you show up at a beautiful boat dock, which brings us to our second category, which is lobby and check-in.
Lobby and check-in, we rate 5 stars. The lobby and check-in experience is really reminiscent of a lot of resorts in the Maldives. There's a private entrance area where you have a welcome drink and a beautiful bar, and since it is all-inclusive, you can order whatever you'd like.
When you pull up, you're greeted by staff, and the entire check-in process actually happens in that small check-in area off of the resort before you get on the boat. You're given your wrist bracelets, you're told what room you're going to be in, and given some information about the property. And as Marin noted, you do have a full bar there, so you are able to order anything you want if the boat is a little bit delayed. Now, if you are coordinating with the hotel, I would make sure to really tell them when your arrival is so that you can make sure that that boat transition is as seamless as possible. But most people that we talked to on property did have a really seamless transition. Once you are on the boat, it takes about 10 to 12 minutes, I'd say, to get across. Now you are transferring across open seas, so it will vary on what your experience is. Sometimes this bay is extremely calm. Sometimes it has a little bit more waves. We were kind of somewhere in between, but it was a beautiful, beautiful boat ride. And just looking at that first arrival where you see the public beach, you really just are in awe of how beautiful this island really is.
When you arrive at the pier, there are staff members waiting for you to welcome you to the island, and you're taken on a very short buggy ride to the lobby. In the lobby, you're greeted with a welcome beverage, which is a beautiful juice made with local pineapple, and then you're taken on a tour of the property and straight to your room.
Once you arrive at the room, you're also given a room tour by your ambassador, which brings us to our third category, rooms.
Rooms, we rate 4.5 stars. This property has been here for many, many years, and in the last couple of years it underwent a full renovation to become a true luxury resort. The rooms are absolutely gorgeous. Today we're in a 1-bedroom bay view villa with a plunge pool, and it is exceptionally beautiful. The renovation has brought out all of these amazing bohemian and local elements, and all of the rooms use only Dominican designers to do all of the decor and all of the furniture in the rooms. When you walk into our room, which is a standalone villa, you're entering into the living room that faces out into that incredible bay view. There's a beautiful sofa, 2 chairs, a nice sitting area with a television, as well as access to the patio. The patio has a very small plunge pool, as well as 2 chaise lounges and a small dining set. The bathroom separates the living room from the bedroom and has a double vanity, beautiful rose gold shower with Paracone MD products, as well as some local products made of coconut and orange. There's a separate toilet room and the closet space within the bathroom itself, but the bedroom is situated at the back of the villa with a sitting area, desk in front of the window, a beautiful little patio with an egg chair, as well as a canopy king bed. The linens and all of the fabrics in the hotel rooms are so beautiful and so incredibly soft. It was a wonderful room and super, super quiet.
So many of these rooms are so close to perfect, and it's actually quite quite shocking that this was a renovation and not a full rebuild. There are so few things that you can notice that were from the old hotel, although some of those things are some of the challenges of this property. We did notice gaps in doors, some things left over from construction, which we hope they're able to improve in the future. They did introduce some great technology features in the room as well, particularly around lighting, which you know we love. They have great lighting throughout the room. They do have master switches, as well as the ability to connect your phone to the entire room where you can control the lights. I think that's such a cool added benefit. As great as that technology is, there are some small inconsistencies. There are some lamps that aren't connected to the master switches, and it would also be great to see some underbed lighting or some under cabinet lighting in the bathroom that would work on a sensor. The rooms are quite dark at night and it keeps you from bumping into furniture. There's small changes like that that we'd love to see them do in the future.
Did also have the chance to tour a number of other room types. The way this property works is there are 4 different themes across the property depending on your building and your room type. We have ocean, under the sea, flora, and fauna. So all the color schemes and some of the furniture changes depending on that theme. We did have the chance to explore a couple of different room types starting with the junior suite. We would highly recommend booking the junior suite with a sea view or honestly any of the sea view rooms. My personal favorite room was the beachfront room. The beachfront rooms face the ocean and they are absolutely beautiful. What you give up in privacy, you gain in incredible views and a really beautiful theme. They also have 2 showers in the beachfront rooms. There's one outside shower and an inside shower, and we just generally loved the theme and the layout of that room. You're also super centrally located to the beach club as well as to Carey restaurant, which we thought was a super place to be. The junior suites with the sea view are also great options. Those are the second up from the standard room categories, and they all do feature great views of the ocean. They are a nice size and have separate sitting areas as well as beautiful patios with a really nice lounge bed and a dinette outside. Personally, I wouldn't book the standard junior suite because you can get very unlucky with the views. While the room we did tour had a partial ocean view, most of the junior suites do face inwards towards the property and you can get quite unlucky with what you're facing. The plunge pool rooms were also excellent. I would also recommend booking the sea view version of those plunge pool rooms as you are beautifully located near the beach club on a hill with a absolutely great view. That would also be a great option for people traveling together because they do have 2 showers in the shower, which makes it a really cool experience in that room. With the exception of the beachfront room, all of the sea view rooms are going to be a lot more private than anything that doesn't say sea view in the name of the room. All of the sea view rooms face outwards towards the sea and away from the cart paths and other rooms on property. So we highly recommend booking some of those sea view rooms if you are looking for a more private experience with a guaranteed view. Regardless of your room type, all of the rooms feature the same amenities across the board. So all the rooms do have a great mini bar that comes with water, some sodas, some local iced teas, as well as a couple of snacks. While we didn't have any of the wellness snacks delivered to our room that you do see on the website, we did have 2 chocolate bars as well as ample alcohol that is local. So we have multiple rums in the room that is from the Dominican Republic. If you have preferences for what you would like in the room, you can request that from the ambassador. So we requested a bottle of wine, for instance.
In general, the minibar was not stocked every day, but as Marin said, we were able to contact our ambassador, which brings us to our 4th category, service.
Service we rate 4 stars. In general, the staff were so happy to be here and so happy to work at Cayo Levantado. They particularly were so excited when you spoke just even 2 words of Spanish to them because they really loved the fact that this hotel is super representative of the Dominican culture and the people in it. In general, we found it very easy to communicate in English to the staff around property. As you did get farther down the line of employees, like if you're talking to gardeners or some people you might see along the cart paths, you might have a harder time communicating, but there's always staff around that did speak great English that were able to assist our needs.
One area we did feel fell short was housekeeping. Housekeeping was extremely inconsistent, and in general, housekeeping seemed to lack attention to detail. The services that were offered for turn down were completely varying from night to night. There were a lot of things that were missed and a lot of very common things in turn down that were missed as well. We also felt that same way during the day. And with regards to the minibar, it was never filled or replaced. If you drank a bottle of something, a new bottle was never replaced unless you specifically asked for it, which we think is something that they could improve in the future. In general, the biggest issue that we found across property with service was inconsistencies. In the future, we'd love to see more refinement in service as well as more anticipatory service that would, I think, really help bring up the general level of service across property.
One thing we did like about the property was that they don't promise you a butler. Instead, they offer something called ambassadors. You do have a mix of people that support you throughout your stay, and you can always message them on WhatsApp and somebody will get back to you. We found the messaging times varied, but typically they did reply within a few minutes. So if you ever had requests for the minibar or if you needed a buggy, they were always quick to reply on WhatsApp and in English.
We did also notice, since the hotel is operating at lower occupancy, they do have less staff on property to staff the restaurants. So they are doing a rotation of the restaurants, which I think is a really good idea. And it also gives those staff a lot of experience in different restaurants and always constantly having a full restaurant because they are servicing the majority of the guests in those restaurants. We did have the most engagement with the staff from dining, which of course brings us to our fifth category, dining.
Dining, we rate 4 stars. This is an all-inclusive property and everything is truly included. There are some restaurants with extra charges, like if you do the tasting menu at Manaya or Senda, which is their 8-course tasting menu that is based on Dominican cuisine, but for the most part, everything is included. Of course, as with most all-inclusives, there is a separate wine menu and they do have some premium alcohols for a charge as well. In terms of what's included in the bars, you can get anything that you want, from Aperol spritzes to house wines that were actually very good, as well as any standard cocktail like a Negroni and more. They do have a number of outlets and it was actually very good to see how many restaurants they do have on property for just over 200 rooms. For breakfast, you have a la carte options as well as in-room dining. Our favorite was definitely Santa Yuca, the slow food concept that does focus on wellness and healthy cuisine. They have fresh juices and smoothies, as well as delicious food, whether it's keto pancakes or the standard Dominican breakfast. Carrie was also open for breakfast every day. Carrie is the beachfront restaurant. It also serves lunch every day and dinner on certain nights. Their breakfast was great as well. They have things like avocado toast and pancakes and eggs benedict. We preferred lunch at Carrie every day. Carrie is the beachfront restaurant, and since it's right there on the beach and the pool, you don't have to go anywhere. They also serve beachfront food if you want to sit at your beach chair and order some food. It is a smaller menu than the restaurant itself, but it is great to be able to eat at your beach chair.
All of the breakfast options are a la carte and there is no buffet option. The only buffet option that they do have is currently only on Friday nights. It is called a food display and it's much more of a gala night, I'd say, than a typical buffet. There's an extensive menu of desserts and freshly made food. Everything is made directly from food stations, so it does really minimize the food waste. It's nice to see that they're not leaning heavily into the buffet concept and that this is more of a special night where they try to get everybody on property at this specific night and then they cater events around that specific night. They do have a beautiful venue for that as well, and it's located on a gorgeous little square that looks like it's out of Santo Domingo with this beautiful fountain, all this coralina mixed in with this colonial architecture. It's really, really gorgeous. The food itself at that buffet was also quite extensive. The pastries are absolutely incredible, and the variety of pastries that you could have was incredibly extensive, incredibly beautiful, well presented, and also delicious.
Next to Palma Real, the food display restaurant, is Senda. Senda is their special tasting menu that takes you on a journey of food through the Dominican Republic. While the food isn't specifically Dominican, they do have a variety of dishes and you get to choose from a vegan, a meat, or a fish menu. Located in that same square is also a coffee shop. The coffee shop is complimentary and they do make a mix of iced coffees, hot coffees, and they have sweets and treats throughout the day. There is definitely no shortage of food though. Breakfast runs until 10:30, lunch starts soon after and goes until 3:30, and the dinners all start at 7 p.m.
That being said, even though the kitchens close at 3:30, we saw many people eating at pretty much all hours, 3:30 and on, so I think they're pretty flexible with how those hours work based on whether or not a guest is still hanging out.
In-room dining is open 24/7 as well. They have a limited menu overnight, but the rest of the day they have breakfast and dinner and lunch routes all included in the all-inclusive. They do set up the in-room dining as though you are at a little restaurant with a placemat and your cutlery out, so when they do serve the food, it does feel a little bit fancier than your traditional in-room dining. We did also have the chance to experience a romantic dinner. This is a new concept that the hotel is going to launch soon, and they do set up a beautiful beachfront table in the sand facing the sunset. It was absolutely stunning, and even though it was a little bit windy, the setting is so romantic, and they do have torches and lighting in the trees. Ours happened to be on the same day as the DJ was playing, so as we sat down to dinner, we had some really cool chill jams, and the food was spectacular. Most of the food from the romantic dinner did come from the steakhouse Manaya, which was where we had our first dinner on property, and it was excellent. The steakhouse does have a variety of meats that are not included in the all-inclusive, but the ribeye cap and the filet are included, as well as a variety of fish and other meats as well.
We did feel that across property, again, there were inconsistencies. In general, with food at pretty much all of the venues, we did feel that some things were very good and extremely well prepared, extremely well presented. There was some really truly elegant cuisine and true gastronomy across property, and some of those dishes were spectacular. However, we found complete inconsistencies with that as well. Ordering the same dish 3 different days, we did have it 3 different ways. It looked completely different from the first day, it tasted different, and it was clearly prepared by 3 different people. And so I do think one of the pieces that's missing here is some of those food inconsistencies, and it really makes it kind of hit or miss.
We did talk to somebody who is a vegan on property, and for any vegans out there looking at wellness, all-inclusive resorts, the most vegan food you'll find on property is at Santa Yuca, but it is a little bit limited at the other outlets. Since the resort is focused on wellness, there are 4 different paths that you can add on to experience a little bit something different in your stay. At Santa Yuca, for instance, they have different color schemes for each of the paths, like Restore versus Renew. They are building out this program further in the coming months, so soon on the website you'll be able to see different paths that you can take and add-ons that they recommend in terms of activities such as yoga and massage.
The activities are a huge part of those wellness programs, which of course brings us to our 6th category, facilities.
Facilities we rate 5 stars. This property did such an amazing job in the renovation, both taking advantage of what was here previously, but also adding on in a tremendous way. One of the core tenets of the hotel is its wellness program, and they've done a great job building out an extensive activities menu, as well as the facilities to support that. They have anything from yoga to breath work to chakra meditation and energy cleansing, and all of those activities are included in your stay. You can opt for private versions of all of those sessions for a charge, most of them being around $120 per session. We had the chance to experience a lot of these activities like the yoga, as well as a private floating meditation session in the cenote, which is a beautiful pool that is not natural, but it is absolutely exceptionally beautiful in the middle of the jungle in what they call Ubarta. Ubarta is their wellness center, and that's where most of these activities take place. We also had the chance to experience sound healing, which is very much like a sound bath with different instruments and singing, and that was a really beautiful experience.
One of the really cool things that they did on property was a fire dancing show, which the performers were spectacular. It was on the beach. It did get a little bit of rain, but we stuck it out because it was so great. Unfortunately, it was in kind of a weird, odd time and place where it didn't really feel like it got the justice that it deserved, and not enough people came down there to see it. So there are some small tweaks to activities and to facilities in general that we'd love to see in the future, but they really do have the facilities for everything, and they have a great staff that's implementing all of those facilities, particularly across the fitness as well as the entertainment and the Ubarta wellness experience.
One of my favorite activities was the fitness classes. They have a pretty extensive set of fitness classes that you can take part in that are all included in your stay. I loved the boot camp class. It really kicked my butt. And we also did a private TRX session with one of the trainers here. And those experiences really make up for all of the food and drinks that you have on property.
The facilities are constantly being updated and improved. For instance, when we did that boot camp, there was no solar shades above, but they already knew that that was an issue. And just a few days later, we saw them installing them because they had come and it had been something they'd been anticipating for a while.
I love that they have an extensive menu of entertainment as well. They don't like to call it separate entertainment areas or times, but rather build that into the experience of being on property. Max mentioned the fire show, and it was super well done. Every bit of entertainment they had on property was super high quality. They also have an amazing band that if you saw in our Instagram stories, they were so good, and they play at Santa Yuca once a week. There was also another singer and a band on another night during dinner, and all of those things make for a really fun experience on property without being super kitschy.
I think the biggest thing that they could work on in facilities is the timing of some of these activities. I think they've done it really well in some instances, like combining the food display, kind of gala dinner with the silent disco that they do afterwards. I think that was really well done. We'd love to see them do that in other experiences across property.
You do have complimentary access to kayaks and paddle boards and some of the other non-motorized water sports on property as well. We were here when there was a little bit of swell, so we didn't take part in any of those activities, but they are available, particularly on the calmer days. They do also offer a variety of tours. They have a full day tour to see the whales and go to Playa Frontón, which is one of the most beautiful beaches in the Dominican Republic. So there are a lot of tour options that you can book through your ambassador.
Finally, one of the last core tenets of this property is sustainability, and they're doing huge things on this property for sustainability. In fact, today, 20% of the electricity comes from solar panels that they have on property, and another 10% of their electricity comes from food waste that they've composted and used for biofuel. There's also some amazing initiatives around water. All of the water on property is a sustainable water that they have bottled. They do also have some Aquali bottles that they have for guests to be able to take around, but for the majority of the water in the restaurants, both still and sparkling, as well as the water in the room, all of that comes from a central plant that they have here on property that actually pulls humidity out of the atmosphere. Now, we've stayed at a lot of properties around the world that do tons of cool things around sustainability, but this is a first. Most of the companies that we've talked to, most of the hotels usually do desalination of some type, particularly if they're near the ocean or secluded on an island. But I think it's so great that they're trying this atmospheric style of water production where they're actually pulling that water directly out of the atmosphere and the humidity. It's something that we're very excited that they're taking these type of measures on property. They've introduced all of these sustainable programs without compromising any of the feel or look of the property, which of course brings us to our 7th category, style.
Style, we rate 5 stars. This property is so well done. All of the decor and furniture on the hotel have been made by local Dominicans as well as the designers. Everything is super beautiful, very bohemian and colonial, beach chic. It is just honestly one of the coolest hotels we've ever seen in terms of style. Everywhere you look, it is so thorough. There are pieces of decor and little tiny things everywhere around the lobby, in the restaurants that are just adding so much to the hotel design.
There are so many beautiful prints and textures, accent lighting everywhere, incorporations of natural elements inside, outside. There's just such a broad array and so much consistency, which is what's really impressive. You don't really walk through any area of the property where you go, wow, this kind of fell flat. There's not really that feeling anywhere. They've really truly done a very thorough job of making the entire property have that really complete style. And because this property is so old, the foliage is also a huge part of that style. It's so grown in. There's these massive monsteras and these massive palms, these beautiful, beautiful, elegant tropical plants all over the property. And it really comes from the maturity of the previous property that they've been able to incorporate that so well.
We love all the natural elements like the woods in the rooms and the restaurants. There's comfortable seating absolutely everywhere. And they've even incorporated some of the furniture from the previous hotel, but in a way that is so cool and unique. It really feels like a mix of Santo Domingo chic vibes of the bars with that beautiful beachfront bohemian Mykonos beach club style.
What I really love that they've done here is they've leaned into the historical background of the Dominican Republic. They've really pulled out a lot of those colonial elements as well as those tropical elements and then mixed them in with local Dominican construction techniques, but in an elevated way that have really just kind of maximized that style across property.
And incorporated into that style is the music choices that they make and the live DJ session at sunset that they have. It just all really blends together so beautifully across the property.
They've even carried through that style and that incorporation of local culture to the nightly gifts that they give. Each night you do receive a little token and a small note that explains the piece that they've given you and how that is associated with Dominican culture or simply just the island of Cayo Levantado. There's some very cool things that you get to take home with you, and so you get to take a little piece of that style and that island back with you, and we think that's a really, really nice touch.
Overall, we rate this property 4.6 stars. Cayo Levantado has done an incredible job becoming one of the premier all-inclusive properties in the Dominican Republic, and we cannot recommend it enough. If you're looking for an alternative to Punta Cana, don't look past Cayo Levantado. It is a beautiful, beautiful resort, and it is truly one of the premier properties in the Dominican Republic.
While this property might be a little bit harder to get to, I do think it is so worth the journey, and it's honestly one of the closest experiences in the Caribbean that we've ever had, some of the premier luxury experiences that you can find other areas in the world. If you are interested in booking this property or others, make sure to check out our website where we have full written reviews of all of the hotels that we stay at, as well as experiences around the world.
And if you follow us on Instagram, you will have already seen this entire story play out in our feed and our stories. So if you don't already, be sure to follow us at Voyager Guru.
Lastly, if you found this video helpful, be sure to give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. We have many videos on our channel from the Dominican Republic and hopefully many more in the future, and of course other destinations across the world.
And as always, I'm Maren.
And I'm Max.
And we're Voyager Guru. See you out there.